Easy Polish with Dorota Cooper, the Guide to Polish Imperative Verbs, Part 2. Polish imperative verbs in the second person plural. Unlike the second person singular, the purpose of the second person plural form is to address multiple people, from groups of two to entire nations. Once you know how to form imperative verbs in the second person singular, it is extremely easy to arrive at the plural variant. All you have to do is add the suffix che to the singular form. There really is not any catch to this. Please study the box carefully. Verb, infinitive, czytać, third person singular, present future tense, czyta, second person singular, imperative, czytaj, second person plural, imperative, czytajcie, and so on. Note that, unlike in some other languages, the second person plural form cannot be used as the polite variant of the imperative when addressing a single person. For that purpose, you have to use a third person structure with a formal pronoun, but more on that later. Polish imperative verbs in the first person plural. The first person plural imperative is for addressing groups to which we ourselves belong. In other words, you use it to issue commands, requests, suggestions that the entire group, yourself included, is supposed to follow. This more or less corresponds to how let's works in English. Forming imperatives in the first person plural is very simple. Just add the suffix me to the second person singular form. Please study the box below. Verb, infinitive, czytać, third person singular present future tense, czyta, second person singular imperative, czytaj, first person plural imperative, czytajmy, and so on. Using the imperative mood. Now that we have reviewed the most common imperative forms, let's say a few words about how they are used in context. We will mainly focus on how the intent behind the command affects the choice of the verb aspect. Positive commands. When issuing positive commands, do this, we can use both perfective and imperfective verbs. It all depends on the context. If the request is meant to emphasize that we expect the action to be brought to an end, completed, we typically use perfective verbs like przeczytaj. On the other hand, if the command is supposed to get the other person to just start doing something without any expectation of the specific end result, it should contain an imperative form like czytaj. So, a parent might address the child by using a perfective verb. Przeczytaj tę książkę. Read this book. In this case, the emphasis is on finishing the book. Perhaps reading the whole thing is part of the school assignment that is due soon. Alternatively, the parent might use an imperative verb. Czytaj tę książkę. Read this book. Here, the emphasis is on the action itself. The child is made to sit down and read the book for some time. The command does not make it clear whether the parent actually expects the child to finish the book anytime soon. Negative commands. The grammar of negative commands, do not do this, is a bit different from that of positive commands. There is not that much choice when it comes to the aspect, as negative commands mostly employ the imperfective aspect. When asking someone not to do something, it usually doesn't matter if you want to prohibit them from doing the action altogether or just from bringing it to completion. In both cases, you will probably want to use the imperfective aspect. Nie czytaj tej książki. Don't read this book. However, there are still some contexts where the perfective aspect will be more appropriate in negative commands. It is rather difficult to point to them all, but they mostly involve warning somebody against doing something careless or impulsive. Uważaj, nie upuść telefonu. Be careful, don't drop the phone. Oto twoje pieniądze. Nie wydaj wszystkiego naraz. Here is your money. Don't spend it all at once. To wszystko na dzisiaj. Do zobaczenia. Pauland, you stay classy.